This will be a practice test on Unit 4 for our Math 1107. And as we look at these, and keep in mind, pause, read it, work it on your own, and then check out the protocol to get the answer. So as we look at this one, we have a box that contains 7 red, 4 white, 8 blue marbles. If one is to be selected randomly, what is the probability that it would be blue? So for something like this, what you need to do is, what is your sample space? Well, you list what's available. So 7 plus 4 plus 8 gives you 19. And how many blue marbles? 8. So 8 out of 19. And that's in its simplified fractional form. In this next question, we're asked to describe the complement. Well, 77% of a person's credit card purchase, $50 or more. So what would be the complement of that? Well, if you subtract that from 100, that would give you the complement, which is 23. Here it's a matter of knowing vocabulary and definitions. In this example, we're asked to substitute 0.5 for the x. So putting this in your calculator carefully, 13.5 Euler's E caret, and then this in parentheses, a negative 0.52 times 0.5, your x value, and round to the nearest hundredth, so that's 2 decimal places, 10.41. Again, try this to see if you get this rounded off. In this example, pause, read it carefully, and see what you can pick out. Well, we know our sample space is 2056, and they're looking for what is the probability that a customer is female. So you're going to go to the female grouping, add these up, get a total, and then that total over your sample space, and then reduce it to lowest terms. And if we go down a little bit, we'll see the answer. And you could take a 2, I believe, out of each of these. And you get 473 over 1028. Now you could also have put that into its decimal form and round to 4 decimal places. Again, try it. Is this what you're getting? Here we're asked to convert this to its exponential form and then give a value for x. Well, in its exponential form, x is the base that's raised to the third power, and this is the answer. Now, what raised to the third power is 216? Well, again, this isn't the best way of doing it, but is a way. Can you think of some number times itself 3 times that gives you this? Well, 6 to the third power is 216. So that's one way if you could brainstorm it. Otherwise, you start and say, well, 5 to the third power is 125. So try 6 to the third power, 216, and that's a way of checking it. And again, sometimes a variety of strategies may be helpful. Here we're dealing with 2 cards are drawn without replacement from your standard 52 card deck. What is the probability of choosing a club and then, without replacement, a diamond? So here you need to know the makeup of a deck of cards. Your chances of choosing a club. Well, there are 13 clubs out of a deck of 52. Now that can be simplified to 1 out of 4. Now, without replacement, now you're going to choose a diamond. Well, there are 13 diamonds in a deck, but now there's one fewer card, 51. So we can bring that down here. And there's no common factors that we can cancel out. So 1 times 13 is 13. And 4 times 51 is 204, which is the answer. Now, in this example, pause and read them. And what you're asked to find is whether this is empirical or classical. Now, empirical relates to our flipping of that styrofoam cup. We did a trial and we got some results, and that's in a sense relates to our probability. That would be empirical when you try something and just get those results. Now in classical, here you're saying, well, you have a head and you have a tail, and the chances of them mathematically coming out is 1/2, 1 out of 2 for the head and 1 out of 2 for the tail. So you figured out mathematically what you would expect. That would be the classical. And then often you compare the empirical to the classical. And we went over that in our tie-in to probability in biology. So as you read these, the one that's using some mathematical comparison is this statement. And this example, you need to be aware of what they are asking. Set A, intersecting with set B. So you look through the items in roster notation and see if there are any that are in common to them. And there aren't any. So we use the symbol an empty set. Some may have put just the braces that there's nothing in it, but the better symbol here when there's no intersection is this. Now here we have a Venn diagram with the sets indicated through illustration. What are they asking? List set X using the roster method. So here it is critical that you put in your brace and just list the members of set X. Now, students sometimes forget to put the braces because they're asking for roster method. And the braces aren't outside as they sometimes show. So you would need to put the braces, and I would suggest putting them in order. Now, in this example, they're asking us to find the mean, which is X bar. We find that by getting our total, dividing it by the number of items of data. But here they're giving us a frequency table. So what would be the protocol for doing this? Well, you physically have to copy this down onto your blue sheet. You may use 2 boxes. So here, for each of these, you're going to say you have a frequency of 1, so this would be a 7. Here you have a frequency of 2, so 2 times 8 is 16. And go on like that to complete this. Get a total that you're going to put here, and then you add up your column here to see how many items of data that you had. Well, there's 3, 6, 8, 12, 20. So once you develop the expansion of your frequency, get this total divided by 20, comes out to 10.9, rounded to the nearest hundredth. You could have put a 0 there, but it came out, and this will be satisfactory. Now, while we are on this slide, let's do the median. So when it's set up like this, sort of in order, so we have a total of 20, we said. So the median would be items number 10 and 11 in our data list. So as we go down, 1, 3, 6, 8, and then 9, 10, 11, 12. Our median is right in this area, and we look over here and we see it's 11. That would be our median if we were to string all of these out in a long line showing how we found it. Now let's do the mode as well. When it's in a frequency table like this, it's easy to pick out the mode because it's the one with the greatest frequency, which here is 8. And what is the frequency at 8? Well, it's 13. So again, 13 would be the one that's used 8 times. Don't get the frequency mixed up with the actual item of data here. All right, let's go on. Again, read, pause, reflect. Again, putting it into exponential form. Our base is 3. our exponent is y, and our answer is 9. Well, again, can we make 9 to some form of base 3? Yes, 3 to the second. So our bases are the same. So our exponents then equal each other. Y is 2. And again, you can just guess 3 to what power is 9? 2. Again, a variety of ways. Now, for this one, here's our data. We're asked to determine the mean. But it's going to be in 3 parts. So we need to find the mean, the median, and the mode. So putting them in order helps. So negative 14, negative 14, negative 14, 10, 10, 10. I guess I can space them out like that. Well, we have 3 negative 14s, which gives us a negative 42. This is a positive 30, a total of negative 12. We have 6 items of data, so for our x bar, we get a negative 2, which is what we have here. Now for our median, they're in order, so we take our middle 2, since it's an even number, a negative 14, a negative 10, add up to a negative 4, divided by 2. Our median is also a negative 2. Now for our mode, is there an item of data that's used more often than any other item? And no, this is used 3 times, this is used 3 times. So in a case like this, there is no mode. Now, if there was another number here, different from that, then we would have 2 items that are used 3 times. That would be bimodal. That's not what's here. Here, these are used the same number of times. So there is no mode. In this example, again, pause, think of the formula. Future amount equals the principal, Euler's E, raised to the RT power. Substitute 5,500, Euler's E, caret, in parentheses. Our rate is 0.045 times 21 years. Put that in your calculator, and you should get this rounded to the nearest cent. Again, part of it is knowing how to use your calculator. Pause, read the example, and reflect on it. So, is this mutually exclusive? Picking a 7 or a black card? Now, is there a black card that is a 7? Yes, there are 2 of them, the spade and the club. So since there is a connection between them, this is not mutually exclusive. But what would be mutually exclusive? Picking a king or a queen. These are mutually exclusive. Picking a diamond and a club. These would be mutually exclusive. Okay. Now, we had one like this in our classwork and in our flipped classroom as well. Here's the table. We want to find members of the student government board that is a senior or lives in on-campus housing. So we're going to add up all of these and one of these because this is a senior. But notice the way I'm doing it, I don't have to subtract anything because I'm not counting anything twice. So here we have 1, 2, 6, 9, 10, and one is 11. And you can see it here a little bit if we go down. And there are a total of 23. Again, you have to be careful that you don't count something twice. Okay. Now, in this specific example, they're asking us to find the mode. So again, looking at a frequency chart, it's rather easy to pick out. This tells you how many times something is used. So we go here. The greatest number is 6, but the item that's used is the 9. So the mode is 9. And if you had it strung out, you'd see the 9 is used 6 times. Okay, here we're asked, solve the logarithmic equation in terms of the variable x. So again, putting it in exponential form helps. So our base is 2. Our exponent is negative 6. Now, again, you could put this in its fractional form. This would be actually 1 over 2 to the 6th, which is 1 over 64. But apparently they wanted it in its decimal form, although they're not saying that. So this would be satisfactory. I know sometimes I've had problems putting in a fraction. They say, no, don't use this. Then you'd have to go to some other form that would be useful. Okay. Pause, read it. Jeff runs out of gas on the way to work. Jessica wins the state lottery. Independent or dependent? Well, this one seems obvious. Independent. All right, let's go on. All right, here we're using conditional probability. Let's look at it carefully here. Now, there are this many job applicants. This many are males, and this many are males with a graduate degree. So what is the probability that a randomly chosen applicant has a graduate degree, given that they are males? So this is the conditional part, given that they are males. So how many males do we have? Well, there's 184 males. And this many have graduate degrees, 78. And if you divide each, they're even, you can take out a 2, you'll get the ratio in its fractional form. Now, if you put this into your calculator, you can round it to 4 decimal places. They'll accept that as well. Now, in part 2 of that same question, again, we still have our 400 applicants, but this is conditional because now they're saying this many have graduate degrees. So that would be our sample space. And this many are males. And that is simplified in its fractional form. There are no common factors. Or again, you could have put this into your calculator, round it to 4 decimal places. But you have to be careful of what they are asking. This is the conditional. Now, for our last question here, they're asking you to write out the sample space. And we have 3 coins. So we have a head and we have a tail. Now, this head, or this coin, when it's flipped, could produce another head or a tail. This coin, when flipped, could produce a head or a tail. Now, if there were only 2 coins tossed, what would be your sample space? Well, head, head, comma, head, tail, comma, tail, head, comma, tail, tail, comma. But here they're asking 3 coins. So this head could be flipped again and get another head or another tail. And this one the same way. Now, it takes a moment to do this, but I think is the best way to be sure you get everything. And now you just take these through. These are 3 heads. These are 2 heads and a tail. Head, tails, heads. Head, tail, tail. And this is what was written carefully here. Now notice the braces were already included, so you didn't have to put them here, but you had to carefully separate them using commas. If you put a period by mistake, they count that wrong. I would pick up on it and give you credit. Okay, well, hopefully this is helpful. It doesn't give all the possible questions you're going to have. Similar questions, different numbers. Sometimes it might even be the same.